And Duke Nukem 3D is really hard. It's a tough game to get through. Even on some of the easiest difficulties, it can be very difficult to live. Like I said, this game doesn't hold your hand. You go through and they kind of want you to die. They make it so that you're going to die. And unlike games today, where you have all this auto aim and special stuff trying to help you not to die. But it definitely going to be hard for people newer to first-person shooters or that have just played the newer games, that never played classic games before, because this is definitely a difficult game to play, and it can take a while to really get the hang of it, of what you're doing. Now, this game, of course, when it came out before, it wasn't online play, wasn't such a big deal. It was mostly single-player stuff. So they had one little online mode. It was Duke Match, I think. And it was really just a death match. A bunch of people were Duke Nukem, and they went through and fought each other and tried to get the most kills. Well, in this version, they have that back with some new maps, but they also have an 8-player co-op over Xbox Live. There's no split screen, sadly, but over Xbox Live you can have 8-player co-op, and that's a really good addition if you can find people that are actually playing the game, because I've been on there looking for co-op games and Duke matches. There's never anybody else on this game. They might be playing single player or something, but there's never anybody on multiplayer. I'm going to be making a Let's Play with somebody cooperatively, but really, if you want to play this game with somebody else, you're going to have to know somebody with this game in order to do it. It's only 800 Microsoft points, though, so you can probably talk somebody into buying it. But most people don't have the game on Xbox Live. I'm not sure if it sold very well or not. Probably didn't, actually. I think that when Duke Nukem 3D came out for the Xbox 360, it was kind of to make up for Duke Nukem Forever not getting to come out, but it's okay. Something else that they added for the Xbox version of this game was that in the first game, if you died, you'd go back to the beginning of the level and go through. So if you met a boss, which the bosses are very hard in this game, just like everything else, you would die and go back to the beginning of the level and keep going through and fight the boss again. In this game, they add a little replay thing, so it records all of your gameplay up until where you died, and you can choose any point in what you've done to start back. So if you're fighting a boss and you have him almost dead and you die, you can rewind a few seconds and then do it a little bit differently and try and kill him. And that's kind of how you'll have to go through a lot of these boss fights, especially if you're on if you're on a harder difficulty. But now, if you are playing cooperatively online, it's a little bit different because you don't have that option, but you can't really lose. So if you have 3 people playing online and you die, you press the A button, you respawn back at the beginning of the level, everybody else just keeps playing where they were, and it just kind of works like that. So you're going in circles as everybody dies and goes back through. In the co-op, they didn't do a very good job of, like, they don't add more enemies to fight or anything. They do give you an option to make the enemies respawn, but I think that's just annoying. If you have enough people playing co-op, you can put it on the hardest difficulty, but really, to have the most fun on co-op, it's probably 4 players or less together, because with 8 players, you're going to find people who already know where all the key cards is, and a couple of them, excuse me, my grammar there, where all the key cards are, and you'll find people and they just run and get all the key cards and blast through the level really quickly and beat it, which is not very fun for the people who don't have as much experience with this game. Now, if you're worried about there not being enough links to the game as far as single player, you really don't have to worry about that. This game is, I'm not sure how long it would take to actually beat the game if you knew where everything was, but if you're coming into this game blind, you've never played it before, it's going to take you so... It's hard to say exactly how long it would take, because it's going to take hours and hours, just depending on whether or not you can find those key cards or not. It probably is going to be a 10-hour game if you don't have trouble finding those cards, but you will have trouble, so it could be anywhere between like 10 and 30 hours if you're just so stupid that you can't find the cards. It's one of those kind of games where you don't really have a set amount of time that it can happen. The game does record how long it takes you to beat the level, though, so you can go back through and try and beat your old scores and try and kill as many enemies as you can and do that kind of thing, which is okay. You don't unlock anything for beating the game, though. You'd think they might have added a little bit of something in there like that because it's such an old game, but they fail to do that in this game. if you're a little kid or you play your games in front of your parents, you probably shouldn't buy this game because it has a lot of cussing in it. For one thing, it doesn't lay off on that, but it has some little pixelated porn things. You'll find girls, and you'll find these strippers that you can pay, and they strip in front of you. It doesn't really look very good because the graphics are so bad, but you definitely should not play this in front of your parents because it's not very appropriate. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. But really, Duke Nukem 3D is what it is. You don't get much more than you would have if you owned the game previously. If you were a fan of classic games, then this is a great deal for you. If you're not, then you probably want to stay away from this. There are other great games you can get on the marketplace. It really just depends on your taste. If you want to go back and taste one of the best classic first-person shooters ever, then yeah, pick this game up. But if you're not really into that kind of thing, if you're not into classic games, then you probably won't like this game, and that's just about how it is. So you don't really... Honestly, I would recommend the game to you only if you're a fan of classic games. Because if you're not, if you like the new stuff so much, if you just want the great graphics and all, then you're not going to get this game and enjoy it. I know a lot of people that have the game that just don't like it. They don't understand it. I don't think they know all the background history and how great this game was at one point. Sadly, they really didn't do anything to change it. I think that if they would went back, changed the gameplay, made the graphics look smooth, that this game would be so much more successful, that it would sell so much better, that it would take the place of a Duke Nukem Forever, just redoing this game. But they didn't do that, sadly. But, like I said, it is what it is. It's just a classic game brought back to life on the Xbox 360, though it's not really living because nobody plays it online. But there are plenty of other great games on the marketplace. It's not one of the top ones, and it really doesn't live up, I think, to what it did on the PC, because on the PC you had expansions come out, you have these high def packs that look so much better than what this does on the Xbox 360, and we know that the game could look so good on the Xbox 360 that it just doesn't live up to what it could be. I really would want to say that this game is an 8.0, but I'm going to give the game a 7.2 out of 10 because it just doesn't bring anything really to the table. I give it a 7.2 for a really solid gameplay and a classic experience, but it's missing those 3 points that it would take to get a perfect score, because no graphical updates, no new multiplayer modes. There's still problems with it. They didn't really do much for the cooperative play. It's just sort of thrown in there as a little bonus for buying the game. You could probably have more fun if you just got on eBay and looked for this game for the PC. I do like the game, though. I'm glad I bought it. But even still, you could buy Doom for 400 Microsoft points, and Duke Nukem 3D is 800, which is still kind of a rip-off, I think. But yeah, Duke Nukem 3D gets a 7.2 out of 10. This has been CCMKB Productions. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. I review mostly Xbox 360 games off the marketplace and off of discs. Thank you, and goodbye.